So Warner Brothers has had a stinker of a year so far. For one, they have had countless bombs in the box office. They have definitely not had the best reception with the public when it comes to making a movie, getting that film done and everything, and just dumping it off as a tax write-off. Not to mention their involvement before and during the writer's strike. Good to see that all sorted now. But only thing saving them, at least for this year, was the release of Barbie. But this holiday season, could they just make a last minute save with the release of Aquaman 2?
No! 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 No!
But honestly, the reason we are here right now is because of the Wonka film. And since its release is around the corner, and as I should be doing more of, I just thought I would do a video talking about the original film and its reboots that came out 30 years later.
It's like Willy Wonka was born to be a candy man, and you look like you were born to be a Wonkerer.
I like the lore of the 1971 film compared to the 2005 film in the sense that no one had ever been to the factory, unless I missed something. And it's important to add, this was my first time watching these films from start to finish, and I am 100% in favor that the first film is better than the second film in every shape and form. Every similarity with them, the first just did better. Every difference that each film had, the first one just had a more interesting take. And I'll go as far as saying that the first one even looked better. I love Tim Burton, but the bar was set so high for that first film, and the 2005 film is also good in its own right, but it just does not come anywhere close to it. So yeah, I was talking about the lore, and hopefully this doesn't come off too much as a comparison film between both of it, but I know it will. But I like the lore of the first film, and just like the Willy Wonka universe in that original film, how everything was just left ambiguous in the start. No one knew anything about the factory too much. Bit of a health risk if we're being real, but I just enjoyed that more compared to how it was done in the reboot. Also, the craze of everyone just wanting that Wonka ticket, teacher closing the school early for it. They made a machine to calculate where the ticket would be, and that therapy scene was really funny.
I mean, you said just shut up, Hofstadter, and tell me where the ticket is.
But we just got none of that in the sequel. Like that hype building up, not even hype building up, but the hype during the entire moment when Willy Wonka gave that announcement was just not there. It was just a generic, everyone rushing out to buy Wonka bars, which we got in both films, but I just like the depth that the first film had in explaining that. And please, why is Charlie such a fool? Like, my guy knew that how much everybody wanted a golden ticket, and he sees that he has gotten the ticket and he just stands out in the street holding it up. I was screaming the night I watched this film, like, bro, what are you doing? I thought somebody was going to like punch him or something and try and steal it away, like, bro. But his family, okay, I get it, if they wanted him to believe in something or whatever, but what was that faith? Realistically speaking, Charlie should not win. I do not care how lucky your odds are, it's just insane. And his parents were just driving him with that optimism. They're setting this guy up for failure. Charlie was just so optimistic about winning. This Charlie guy's optimism was like me when like all these YouTubers do a giveaway, and I do everything they say, register for this giveaway, doing the bare minimum. All guys would be like having like 10 accounts, and I'll be thinking that me, I'm different and I'm going to win this prize, and I'll just be planning how I'll set everything up. Like, bro, the optimism on Charlie was crazy, I can't lie. And on the topic of family, let me just mention the characters, starting with Charlie, which was the more consistent roles across the two movies, possibly because, if we're being honest, he was a pedestrian in both films, not really adding anything aside just being the best child apparently. But don't get me wrong, they did more for his character in that reboot, but it doesn't warrant his name being the title. It's still a Willy Wonka film. Then onto Willy Wonka, I don't need to say more than Gene Wilder just did it better. I know it, you know it, we all just know it. It's just common knowledge. Not to discredit Johnny Depp, you would never associate him with this kind of role. It's just a weird link up. And I also feel like the same about Timothy Chalamet being in the next Wonka film. It's just, you just don't expect them to take this kind of role. It doesn't fit their description. But apart from the weird voice that Johnny Depp had throughout the film,
the best kind of prize is a surprise.
I think he did an alright impression of Wonka, but Gene Wilder just sets that bar way too high. It just doesn't match it or surpass it, in my opinion. Charlie's parents, like Charlie, are not in this a whole lot. But just wanted to mention that it's crazy how the older film takes about 45 minutes before you actually get into the factory. and the 2005 one takes like 30. The 1971 film, obviously with a longer runtime, just did more with that runtime, especially for the world building, more with it, and it was fun. Yeah, I know the reboot had another bit outside the factory at the end, but who cares about Charlie's parents, man? Nobody cares. Okay, who we care about is Grandpa Joe. He was one of my favorite characters in this film. Well, at least the first film, because he was just fun. He just made that first film fun. I think he had the most, besides Gene Wilder as Wonka, he had the most charisma in that film, in my opinion. I mean, Charlie was the perfect kid, but Grandpa Joe was that gangster that he just needed to balance it all out. He was funny, he was real. The story he tells Charlie in the beginning was just way better than the story the other Grandpa Joe in the second film tells him. I'm going to come to that grandpa in a minute. But like, even in the serious moments when like he's explaining to Charlie about everything, he goes behind his back to get Charlie chocolate. He's just the best grandpa ever. And now I do not understand what those filmmakers were eating when they were cooking up that reboot, because they just messed up that Grandpa Joe character and made him a puppy in the way that his entire personality is that he worked for Willy Wonka. Bro, like, how do you go from this?
You're a crook. You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. How can you do a thing like this? Build up a little boy's hopes and then smash all his dreams to pieces. You're an inhuman monster, I said!
To that.
Mr. Wonka, I don't know if you remember me, but I used to work here in the factory.
That's probably one of the biggest downgrades that pisses me off about the reboot. Like, don't mess with Grandpa Joe, bro. Why are you ruining something that was already good? Ugh, disgusting. But I'll give the reboot Grandpa Joe one thing. I like that flashback when they said he was a much younger man, but the dude did not even age one day. And onto the contestants, they said give me a German kid, and they just didn't hold back. No lore for him really in both movies, apart from he eats a lot. That's literally his character. Then there's the rich spoiled girl. I think we can all admit hands down she's the worst character. Like, I wish she was the first to die. Was really surprised she lived as long as she did. She was just annoying in both films. In the second one, she was a bit more tolerable, but bro, we all hate that girl. Then there was a girl with the world record or whatever. A bit annoyed that they changed her dad from the first, because he was probably one of the most memorable parents out of all of them. Your classic American salesman saw the opportunity to branch out, and he did not waste it for that promotion. And he honestly had one of the most funniest interactions between another parent.
What business you in, Salt?
Nuts.
Like, why did they change his character? And the guy's daughter was just an idiot, but that was a pretty common trope among them. Pretty sure one of the more sensible persons out of all the other kids, apart from Charlie, was that other boy. In the first one, he was just a Western goofball, but a gunner in 12 is insane. But I admit his rendition in the second film was way better, and I like how he was a smarter kid in that and just liked technology and sci-fi stuff, as opposed to the one that preferred westerns. They basically updated him for that particular era. But I also like how he formulated a way to crack the system with the golden tickets, a more realistic approach than Charlie just taking 3 chocolate bars and saying his work's done. And he had a point every time, but Willy Wonka was just probably too full of himself to admit it and just labeled it as him being a yapping boy. But please, what happened to Bro at the end of the film, man? They mutilated my guy. What happened to him?
Look how they massacred my boy.
Overall, with the other characters, preferred them on the second film more. I don't know, I just felt more engaging and fun with them in the second movie. Apart from the American dad that they changed. Justice for my guy. But okay, something similar that these films both had were that they both ended with "and the chocolate factory." And about that, practical effects are just better than CGI. Shocker. Although the second film does use a lot of practical effects, it also blends it with a bunch of CGI. And in 2005, CGI just wasn't there yet. It looks good most of the time, but also just a bit weird. Not the worst CGI I have ever seen, but they do feel like they just filmed in someone's basement sometimes, especially when they're in that place that you can eat everything. But if I was to say which one is definitively better, pretty much an easy pick for me. As much as I love Tim Burton, this film was just themed way too much much like his movies, and the Chocolate Factory was also in that same vein, and I'm just not a big fan of that. I want it to be colorful and for it to pop. It still had this, can't explain, I won't say this gothic theme with it, although it was still like a bit colorful most of the time. I just felt like it didn't pop as much as the first one did, and I just wasn't a fan of it. I also love how in the original film they had this big contract that they signed, but Johnny Depp's Wonka didn't have that one. Like a major lawsuit is incoming. My guy should better be start calling Saul and preparing some defending statement for court. Maybe when the prosecutor is like asking him, what does Wonkera mean? He can be like, Wonkera stands for worshipper of noble, kind, empathetic, righteous, encouraged, redeemed. Mad how they were now worried about the parts that they couldn't see properly. Bros, I think you should be worried about the big parts that says that Wonka is literally not responsible for the loss of life and limbs. This is also all coming from a factory that has been established and no one has ever come out from.
Nobody ever comes out.
I don't know about you guys, but I'll be very concerned about that. And Grandpa Joe, again, how can you hate this guy?
Sign away, Charlie. We got nothing to lose.
The Oompa Loompas were better in the sequel though. I felt like they were more involved in the film, especially with Wonka. As someone that has basically secluded himself off from the world, they created like this bridge of entertainment and other stuff for him. Like one was his therapist. Like I feel like a man that has literally like, I won't label enslaved, but he has enslaved this tribe from another place, come work for him. And they don't really talk, so it's literally him being alone but having these unquote slaves with him. So it's like a bit realistic in the approach that he would just use them for everything that he pleases, but not like in a weird slavery kind of way, but like in a more fun approach, you know, just being creative with what you have. Like when you have like action figures and dolls and stuff and you just play with them. It sounds really bad the way I'm putting it, but yeah. But in my own personal opinion, I hate the Oompa Loompas. I think they add nothing to these films. They sing and stuff, but all their songs are just boring and forgettable for me personally. This is my opinion. This is my hot take. And it just, I don't know what to say, but I just hate them. It's just common knowledge that the best song in these films was the Gene Wilder song, the one of like your whole imagination, that song. So like the ones that the Wonkeras had, I just didn't care too much about it. Both films end with Charlie winning the Chocolate Factory for being morally upright, but I like the first one. It just had this more realistic take of it, in the sense that you take a kid to a chocolate factory and obviously he will do something. And Grandpa Joe being the bad guy initially, that makes him lose the factory, and also being the bad guy when he has already lost the factory.
Slugworth wants a gobstopper. He'll get one.
Like telling him to just sell it to that dude. But then the entire twist at the end, I actually like that, and seeing that Charlie's actually a good boy in his heart and everything. I preferred all of that compared to the reboot that Johnny Depp just wants to take Charlie away from his family, but Charlie is channeling his inner Dom Toretto and being like, I will not leave my family behind. I think it's easy to see which film concluded better, especially in my opinion. Overall, I did give the reboot its flowers in specific aspects, but as a whole kids film, the original is just way better. Didn't even mention how the reboots had these weird flashback segments and Wonka's dad literally just running away, taking his entire apartment building with him. Those parts were just unnecessary in my opinion, and there to make the film's dumb conclusion land. If I wanted to watch something about someone buying a particular product to win a prize to visit this factory that makes that product, I'll probably just watch Futurama Season 2 Episode 4, where Fry goes to the slum factory. Alright, thank you for watching this video of me talking about Willy Wonka. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week for the actual Wonka film, and I hope it's a good one. So thank you again. Have fun wonkering. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.